Thank you, everyone, for joining us on this panel discussion on Ghana pharmaceutical industry, the role of the private sector in vaccine development. My name is Joyce Owukudak-Monsey, and I'll be moderating this session. On the panel today are 4 esteemed individuals with significant experience in the pharmaceutical industry. They are, number 1, Mr. Kwejo Esari Churifuo. Mr. Churifuo is a pharmacist by profession and a managing director of Entrance Pharmaceuticals and Research Center, a member of Tobinco Group of Companies. He has 27 years experience in pharmaceutical manufacturing. Number 2, Mr. Benjamin Butchery. Mr. Benjamin Butchery is the president of the Pharmaceutical Society of Ghana and chairman of the Faculty of Drug Production and Quality Assurance in the West African Postgraduate College of Pharmacists. He is a world-renowned expert in medicines, regulation, quality assurance, and pharmaceutical sector management. Mr. Butchery holds a Bachelor of Pharmacy degree with honors from KNUST, a Master of Science in Pharmaceutical Analysis from the University of Strathclyde in Glasgow, a Master of Public Administration from GEMPA, a postgraduate certificate in strategic leadership from MSH Boston, and a postgraduate certificate in managing analytical laboratories from the University of North Wales in South Africa. Number 3, Dr. Yao Abdul Jamifi. Dr. Yao Abdul Jamifi is a founder and the group chairman of the Dampong Group of Companies in Ghana, which includes Danadam's Manufacturing and Dampong Healthcare. He is the current president of Association of Ghana Industries. He holds a doctorate degree in pharmacy from Mercer University in Atlanta, Georgia, USA, and is a fellow of the West African College of Postgraduate Pharmacists. He holds a master's from GEMPA. He has a Bachelor of Science degree in Chemistry and Mathematics from Clark Atlanta University in Atlanta, Georgia, USA. Number 4, Professor William Ampofo. Professor William Ampofo is the chairman of the African Vaccine Manufacturing Initiative and a former head of virology department, Noguchi Memorial Institute of Medical Research. Professor Ampofo serves on the COVAX Procurement Reference Group on procurement of COVID-19 vaccines. He is also a member of the U.S. National Research Council's Health and Medicine Division Committee on Advancing Pandemic and Seasonal Influenza Vaccine Preparedness and Response. He has conducted assignments throughout Africa on behalf of the World Health Organization, Commonwealth Secretariat Health Division, U.S. Department of Defense, German International Development Agency, and the U.S. Agency for International Development. With such deep pharmaceutical experience on the panel, I look forward to a spirited and productive discussion, shall we? And so the first question that we're to address is, what are the practical approaches to mobilizing support for the implementation of the whole trade-related aspects and intellectual property rights flexibilities. I've divided this into two, but I think you gentlemen are strong enough for this evening to take the subject matter as it is. So it's intellectual property rights. I think you're all qualified to talk on it. But I think I probably would like to give Dr. Abdul Jamifi a chance to speak to that, since he's in pharma and probably cares about intellectual property rights as you are in discovery and also marketing of the product. Thank you.
Well, basically, as we all know that when anybody invents something, they always basically have the patent on whatever the invention is, be pharmaceutical or any technology. And that goes on. If anybody wants to use it, of course, you go to that person. That's the intellectual property. Now, where we stand now as pharmaceuticals, basically, we all know that very few, if any, medications or vaccines have been developed on our continent. So basically, whatever we are doing has been backward integration, whereby somebody has done it and we go back and just do backward integration and do the generic of the patent one. Or either you go to the owner of the patent and then seek the approval, whereby they do a technology transfer for you to be able to use it. And that is what basically we're talking about. So when it comes with what we are about to discuss, since now no country or anyone on our continent owns intellectual property to this vaccine, of course, then we have to talk about intellectual property transfer for anybody to do the product on our continent. Thank you.
Thank you. And Professor Ampofo, can I please ask you if you can comment on this next question, which are, essentially, what are some of the issues associated with this tech transfer that Doc spoke about, either in vaccine or in general, as it relates to intellectual property?
Yes, the perspective from the African Vaccine Manufacturing Initiative is that the way around these very thorny issue of intellectual property is to push forward with tech transfer, because tech transfer will enable a rapid sharing of the current, technology and best practice to actually make the vaccines in an effective, cost-effective, market-friendly, and modern approach that is also geared towards the latest market conditions. If you take COVID-19, for example. So the issue about intellectual property is a very complicated matter, looking at long-term investments and the need to recoup and long-term market maintenance by big pharma. And we at the African Vaccine Manufacturing Initiative feel that if we pursue tech transfer partnerships, this will enable us to look at the future. I mean, Africa will represent about 25% of the market, going forward after, if you look at the projections in terms of population and growth. And we think that pursuing partnerships will enable us to strike, very beneficial, win-win exchanges, which will result in vaccine manufacturing growing in the African continent, in the different sub-regions, of course, in our country, Ghana. Over.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Do we see any real challenges with or hurdles with this tech transfer? Is there a willingness on both the one who will transfer and the recipient, and is there capacity to do that on both sides to ensure that tech transfer happens as needed?
Is this to me or to
other places like Ghana to continue with the critical drugs? Yeah.
Is this to me or this is to any of the panel members?
Oh, any of the panel members, please. Yeah. Sorry.
Can I profile, some thoughts?
Yes, please.
With COVID-19, again, the examples are there. I mean, if you look at the mobilization that has gone on in the United States, for instance, and then also with the coming in of Serum Institute of India, that technology, the flexibility to transfer that technology is there, that capacity is there. What is important is our local capacity to receive that kind of technology transfer. And I think that is what we need to prepare ourselves for. And I believe the presidential committees and even the local pharma industry and all are preparing themselves for it. Not only in Ghana here, but in a number of other places like Egypt and so on. South Africa. So that capacity is there. What we need to prepare ourselves to receive that type of technology transfer when it comes to COVID-19 vaccines.
Thank you. Then we went quite in COVID time. We will continue talking more about COVID, but generally also talking about medicines that address diseases and epidemics that are endemic in our region and maybe even in our country itself, and how intellectual property rights will be key to that endeavor. So the next question I have is, does Ghana have immediate term capacity to begin general vaccine development and production? So I think I have no choice but to give the first question to Professor Ampofo, please.
Yes, I think that we do have the capacity. We have a vibrant local pharmaceutical, industry, but more importantly, we have a Food and Drugs Authority. That's at WHO level, maturity level 3. I mean, if you recall, recently the Director General of the WHO actually singled out Ghana's FDA for praise in the work that it has done in terms of regulating pharmaceutical products, not only in Ghana but also contributing to the continent as well. And so we have examined our local situation. We are carrying out a couple of situation analysis. We're looking at the application of fill finish technology. We're also doing some studies on the market analysis. Of course, the need for government to provide, the necessary guarantees and enabling environment for this vaccine industry to thrive has been, thoroughly and critically looked at. So with a strong political commitment from government, this is a long-term venture that needs to be carefully nurtured so that it will be sustainable. It will be able to look not just at the pressing need for pandemic vaccines for COVID, but also to supply the vaccines that will be required for our expanded program on immunization. So yes, a careful analysis of our current capacity and the capacity that needs to be built in terms of manpower, the necessary, market access, and the financial support to ensure that these industries that start will be able to be sustained is very important and is ongoing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So Dr. Yao Abdul Jamifi, do you think that there are, what do you think are the gaps, I should say, what do you think are the gaps in vaccine development and production in Ghana? If any?
Just like Prof just said, he just mentioned some of the challenges that's available. Number one is the political will. Nobody works in a vacuum, especially when it comes with private sector, even though you're talking about profitability when it comes with private sector. But when it comes with vaccine, I think the main goal for all of us in the private sector is basically what is good for the country. But so once we private sector are ready to embrace and see how we be able to come up with something in terms of vaccine production, nobody has done it before. Local manufacturing, but we have the capacity, we have the know-how to go about, and Prof just talk about technology transfer, which we are willing to work with it. So to embrace this, the major thing that we face is the political will. Not only just say that I will do, but is the government prepared to go ahead that, okay, whatever, if you are all things being equal, you have a facility, you have money, and all this is set up, and you produce, is somebody they're going to buy. If you don't get that guarantee, it will be very difficult for private sector to move forward. And I think that is the major challenge. When they come with the financial muscle, This area we are talking about is not small, $2-3 million business. You are talking in the 40s million. You talk about a country get $200 million in South Africa to do this. So to get into this venture as a private sector, you need the collaboration, you need the financial support. Do you have local banks who have the muscle to help to get low, soft interest loan to be able to facilitate this? So the major thing about it is the political will, and second is the financial muscle. When they come with the book, it's all it's a learning process. We have people like Ampofu, they've been in the system, they can help. You have the FDA to do that, the regulatory is there. So the major thing is the political will, the market you talk about. If you produce it, this is not a day-to-day thing, a product that is definitely needed for 30 million people and more. If you build this factory and you start to do it, and after the 30 million, what happens? Do you close it down and wait for the following year for something to happen? So those are the major challenges. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. So, Mr. Butchery, just to take it back from there, that essentially the roadmap has been laid out as to what needs to be done, and that if you have a political will and we have the financial wherewithal, this is something that we should be able to take on, because vaccines are really a public health issue. And so who is the off-taker? Majority will be the government. And so I think the point is well made. In your view, is there a role for private sector and academia in this vaccine development or manufacturing in Ghana?
Yes, obviously. And I was going to take it from that technical angle, that apart from the political will and the financial muscle that is required, you also need a strong research and technical backbone to that. And we have talked about a bioequivalence testing center. This is something that has been on the drawing board, and Dr. Jamifi will bear me out, that we have talked about in this region for a very long time. And this is a center that would help the local manufacturer to produce products that are biologically equivalent to whatever will be produced anywhere else in the world. And these are international requirements if your products will have to cross borders and go to other countries. I believe that our aim is not only to produce for Ghana, but also to try to mobilize government muscle to sort of get markets within the sub-region and so on. So these are some of the technical things that are required. Again, it must be backed by huge research. As we move on, I don't think we only want to do the fill finish, but we want to backward integration in future into, starting from scratch. And this will call for a lot of research and research capacity in our research institutions and so on to do this. So the other thing I want to talk about is also regional harmonization of requirements. For instance, yes, we have a very good FDA, no doubt about that. But what happens if you want to go beyond Ghana, for instance? If our systems for regulation and acceptance are not harmonized, what happens? Would they take the decisions of Ghana FDA? What are the agreements that have come up between governments and things like that? So we need to look beyond that as well to facilitate this whole process of local manufacture of vaccines in Ghana. Over.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Butchery.
Yeah.
I think Mr. Sari is saying something. Please go ahead.
Yes. I just want to say something in connection with what Mr. Ben Butchery said.
Yes.
Harmonization is really a key in these processes, because even the current production that we are doing, moving a product from Ghana to the neighboring conditions takes time and is very, very challenging. So the political will must not only be from Ghana, but I think must also be from the ECOWAS itself to really support this idea if you really want it to happen in Ghana.
Madam Moderator, if I may jump in.
Please go ahead.
I think that was a very important last point that was made. And I'd like to remind my colleagues that our president is currently the head of ECOWAS. And at the beginning of his term, actually, he charged the ECOWAS Secretariat, the West African Health Organization, together with the other heads of state. They asked WAHO to look at this issue of access to COVID-19 vaccines and also the demand for vaccines in the sub-region, and charged WAHO to come up with a plan and guidance to the ECOWAS region for production of vaccines in our sub-region and access to vaccines. So this is something that has been noted, and the WAHO Secretariat has formed a task force with various key persons from within the sub-region, and they are producing the guidelines to guide heads of state and ministers of health on the appropriate, enabling framework to access COVID-19 vaccines and also to produce vaccines in the sub-region. I'm sure you heard about the talk also from the African Union, which has set up a continental task force looking also at vaccine manufacturing in Africa. So it's unfortunate that the COVID-19 pandemic has provided an opportunity for us to really tackle seriously vaccine manufacturing on the continent. But all political activities and strong, interagency resources are moving towards enabling us move forward to find practical, steps. And I'm very happy that, we're having this discussion on the back of, private and public sector, especially private sector initiatives to provide the necessary funding, to really move us forward with vaccine manufacturing. Over.
Thank you. And so this actually gives us a nice segue into my next question, which is trying to understand the framework and ecosystem that the government should put in place to accelerate aspirations of vaccine self-sufficiency for Ghana and the region. So what framework and ecosystems should we have in place to make that successful?
So, Madam, if I may, because I serve as secretary to the committee, so this is one of the tasks that the president gave to the committee, and so we've been working closely with various, we've done various consultations on the quiet, and we have developed a draft roadmap. Okay, and there will be further consultations with major, stakeholders to see how, critical input will frame the document, which will serve as the framework for Ghana's pursuit of establishment of vaccine manufacturing. I mean, it's one of the key things that to establish domestic vaccine manufacturing, to strengthen and enable our FDA to be able to, serve as the regulatory framework for vaccines we produce. And as Mr. Butchery said, to enhance our research and development for vaccines. And also the key point of this discussion is to enhance the partnerships that will provide the funding, not just from the private sector, but from all various partnerships, support our, strengthening clinical trials, technology transfers, and all other relevant things. And we're also looking to, as Mr. Butchery said, strategically, support the human resource capacity development, not just for vaccine manufacturing itself, but also in all sectors of this enterprise. So we will be having intensive consultations, for critical inputs into the roadmap that will serve as the framework for vaccine manufacturing in Ghana. So this discussion is very timely, and we're very happy that the Minister of Finance is taking this forward, and we expect that other ministries and agencies will work with us to make this a reality. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I believe either Mr. Butchery or I think it was Dr. Yao Abdul Jamifi who was trying to chime in. I want to give you the opportunity. I saw movement on that side Joyce, of my screen. Sorry, I saw
Joyce,
movement.
All I was just going to do was to.
Yes.
All I was going to say was basically that what we are discussing now is basically what, in a nutshell, what Prof has basically summed it up. All the framework that we're talking about is in the developing stage, and now what we are left is basically to do stakeholders consultation to move it up. But the committee has done some solid work so far as the framework is concerned. We are about to roll it up soon.
Thank you very much. So a question for Mr. Sari. What role do you think STEM education, i.e. science, technology, engineering, and math, education programs and strategies will play in addressing the achievement of the self-sufficiency, the vaccine self-sufficiency in Ghana and in the region?
Well, yes, as the panelists have all said, we must have the need to really train, invest, and resource at the current university that we have, the current research centers that we have, to really build their capacity so that we'll be able to sustain it. Because otherwise, it will be very difficult moving forward. So the universities that we have currently, I think when they are well-resourced, well-trained, given the right equipment and tooling, we'll be able to sustain it.
Thank you. I have a question that is will be geared towards Mr. Butchery, but I think others could support as well. And so, the question I have is, does Ghana have the potential, in your view, to be a pharmaceutical hub in Africa? And if so, why?
Yes, I believe so. Let's put this in perspective. I mean, this discussion of Ghana being a pharmaceutical hub, and I can see Dr. Jamifi smiling. It's as a history. It did not start now. It started with the establishment of the Pharmaceutical Manufacturers Association of Ghana. We moved on to the West African Pharmaceutical Manufacturers Association, and he and I played a lot of roles in this. Then the Pharmaceutical Manufacturing Plan for Africa, where even a Ghanaian, Dr. Latte, became president at a point. So this whole Making Ghana Pharma Hub has been on the plan for a very long time. Let me say that in West Africa, for instance, majority of the countries in West Africa are close to 90% net importers of medicines. And manufacturing takes place mainly in Nigeria and Ghana. Recently, Cote d'Ivoire and some other countries are coming up. But it means that we already had the potential to do this. And this affords us a very big opportunity. We must also understand that made in Ghana products, you can find them in almost every West African country you go. But these are not informal trade, and therefore we have made several attempts to formalize them. I want to agree with Prof. Ampofu that WAHO has been tasked to do certain things, but we have worked with WAHO on this thing for a very long time. The political will is there now. What is important now is to get the country's own technocrats to understand these things. I mean, they issue various interesting documents, sign agreements, but you will see that when it comes to implementation on the ground, then you see the technocrats giving a lot of problems here and there. So it should cascade from the political will, the political directives by our president to their presidents, back to their technocrats to understand that, look, our people need these things, and that we don't need to put impediments in their way. Finally, let me also talk about the fact that, and again, Prof made allusion to it, that at the continental level, and I have been privileged to be part of a task team put together by the African Union to prepare for the establishment of the African Medicines Agency. Now, getting even governments to sign the treaty is a challenge. So what we have started now, and because it has come with COVID-19, maybe we need to use the opportunity to accelerate all these processes. Otherwise, we'll do all the financial mobilization, we'll do all the technical documentation and so on. But when it comes to implementation from our own technocrats on the ground, it will become a very serious issue. Yes, we have the potential as a country, and we can take advantage of it moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So,
in addition, Joyce,
go ahead.
In addition, Joyce, right now as we speak, not only the reason why Ghana really has the capability of becoming the hub, almost more than 6 companies in Ghana are already exporting to almost all the West African countries. As I speak, since 2015, I set up Dan Adams Nigeria in Mina, in Niger State. We are producing Ghana products. We have 32 products registered in Nigeria, NAFDAC, from our company. So we definitely have the capability to do it. I'm sure my friends, Tobinco, Entrance, NS, M&G, all these people are also exporting to other countries, whatever. Now, since 2005, we have been even producing antiretrovirals here in Ghana and supplying to at least 6 countries in the Equivalence region. So we have that. And they definitely accept our products without any doubt. When you put our product anti-malaria in Nigeria compared to Nigeria, they will take the Ghana products. So that tells you the confidence that most countries, if nowhere at all, they have in West Africa to support our products. Recently, we were approached by Rwanda that we should come there. They'll give us a land, they'll give us a lot of incentive. But because Rwanda is an inland country, in terms of the cost of production, by the time you finish, it'll be too expensive. So we said, no, if you want to buy from Ghana, we are willing to supply from here. Now with the coming in of AFTA, Continental Free Trade Agreement, it gives Ghana pharmaceutical companies great opportunity for us to go beyond. And so definitely we can do it. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. There's a lot of excitement. You're getting us all excited here at Ministry of Finance, so thank you. It's very exciting. The other question I wanted to pose was veering a little bit off from vaccines, but looking broadly at accelerating development of therapies for treating diseases that are endemic in Africans. And, because when you look at the large pharmaceutical companies around the country, around the world, which I'm a product of, hardly do they look at opportunities of addressing diseases that are endemic to Africa or in Africans. And so the question is, as we embark on looking at vaccines for COVID and other diseases, which may not just be endemic to Africans, does this provide an opportunity, in your views, for us to take a look at diseases that are really akin to our people that doesn't get as much exploration as it should? So I'd like, Prof. Amperfield, I think, wants to say something, so please go ahead.
Yes, Joyce, one of the most interesting experiences we've had in the Presidential Committee for Vaccine Production has been the diversity of proposals that we have received and a very strong interest, for not just vaccine manufacturing, but for related, pharmaceutical enterprises as well. So we've had a strong proposal for anti-snake production and a facility that's far advanced. We've had very strong proposals for science, scientific exchange, tech, with a whole range, not just vaccines, but also capacity building and diagnostics and biomolecules, biosimilars. It's been very, very, very interesting, and all these proposals have been, categorized, and we've engaged with various, stakeholders who are really interested. So it shows that there is a very important opportunity, to strengthen our capacity to manage, and respond to diseases with the appropriate pharmaceutical interventions, not just, vaccines. So I think this is a very strong point, and it's good you brought it up because it should encourage, private sector investors because there are various opportunities that they see. I mean, people talk about Serum Institute now being a major, COVID vaccine producer, but there was some time back I was in a meeting in WHO. We're talking about influenza vaccines, and they couldn't sell even 1 million doses of flu vaccine they had produced to the Indian government. So it takes, tenacity and strong character and good business plans, to look at disease and look at how you can set up, the appropriate manufacturing base that would then, should be flexible enough, but then still self-sustaining and be able to not just generate profit, but be able to maintain itself, therefore respond when, diseases break out. If you look at the range of diseases that are immediately notifiable in our country, some of them would not be profitable for business. Okay, but again, we have to find a model which would be very necessary to look at. I know that, for example, my institute is doing a clinical trial on Lassa fever. Lassa fever is something that most people in the public have not heard about, but it's endemic in our West African region. It's a major issue in Nigeria, in Sierra Leone, Liberia. There's what we call the Mano River Basin, which is a belt for Lassa fever. But there is a strong investment in that. We've heard about Ebola. There's already, trial vaccines that were developed, previously. And these vaccines, I think, should be also considered for manufacture by any serious enterprise looking to make vaccines, in the sub-region or in Africa. So you're right. This question is very important, that a business plan for, vaccine manufacturing should look at the entire range of the pathogens that we continue to detect because of improved, technology. And these therefore represent opportunities for improving, our interventions to handle these diseases as well. Over.
Thank you very much. Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, so guys, I just want to add a little to what Prof has said. I've been looking at the issue of collaborative research. Research that is isolated usually gives us problems. And for that matter, Noguchi is there, Prof's Institute is there, WACPIN, that institute in Legon is there, KCCR in Kumasi, all the medical and pharmaceutical schools, the plant research center in Mampong. These all have a lot of research materials that can be turned into something good for the country and for disease control in general. Not that nothing has happened, but maybe there must be a conscious effort to integrate all these kind of research. Researchers must talk to one another and integrate right from maybe crude research through the various stages of trial to even post licensing regimes, so that we can have a focused sort of direction. Prof, I don't know which institute can do this, can coordinate this kind of activity, because I know that I have been involved right from first degree working on Cryptolepis sanguinolenta, which is an anti-malaria. So much literature on its anti-malaria properties. I know along the line, Gihok Pharmaceuticals, when it turned to phytorhica, put it into tea, a tea format, and it was being drunk, and we were getting better with malaria. Where is it now? Where is that research? And I'm talking about malaria. So there are other disease areas like Prof has spoken about that we can look at integrated sort of collaborative research to be able to get the right type of results. And that will be interesting to industry, and just from your experience, to be sort of make it marketable to earn millions, if not billions of dollars.
I'm really excited. I mean, I think you hit on something very, very interesting, because of course, when you talk about marketing, what is our differentiation? I think this could be an element, because you look at components and look at compounds that are being brought through to solve a problem. And to the extent that we don't solve the problem 100%, the question one can pose is, can you bring the learnings from the Plant Institute or from our native work to complement, a more focused research, and to make it rigorous enough that it can be replicatable and also be tested and validated, so that can that inch up the efficacy of the orthodox drug in any way? I think that is something that we can do. I mean, I'm just so excited. I guess I'm talking to the scientists, the right people here, both in academia and as well as the private sector. And I think that's where the rubber meets the road. I think.
Joyce.
Yes.
Joyce, just let me add a minute to give me a minute to this.
Absolutely.
Listening
please.
to Prof. Listening to Ben Butchery, where we see ourselves is that there has not been coordination or much relationship, collaboration between academia and industry. There's so many research listening to Ben, have been on the research, people, the professors' desk at Kofuanachi today, KNUST. So much research has been done. But like we all sit here, we all know how Indians support the herbal products. Chinese support herbal products.
Yes.
So what do we do when they come with our own? We have never have a collaboration between academia and industry, so that whatever research is done with academia, then private sector can take it up and commercialize it. This link must be looked at it while we are talking about this. That is the only way we are going to see our way forward. That whatever research is done, there is truly, just like you said, there's segmented research being done. The same thing when you come even to our sector. All the companies are also segmented. So a time has come that it probably has to be a national research institute where all the research is put together. We are able to move forward and industry. Then whatever we think is good for the activities that are developed can be industrialized and commercialized to become a product. And we can patent it. Then we go back to the first question you asked, intellectual properties. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed. I'd like to ask Mr. Kwadwo-Asare, do you have any comments to make on the subject?
No, in fact,
the intersection of
that is what we need now as a country, as Mr. Bemutu said, the collaboration, because the gap is there and we need to close it up. It is then that we can move forward and then get more medicines to resolve our own problems. There's that percentage of about 62 Indian companies here in Ghana. I think that gap should be filled so that where the research centers, as Prof is saying, can meet with the industry, we all come together, collaborate, and then make sure whatever things being proposed come into fruition. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I mean, in closing, we're coming to the end of our discussion. Unfortunately, it's been an amazing discussion. It's gone so fast, and we've talked about a lot. But I'd like you, each of you, if you had a young person in front of you, starting their career, thinking about pharmaceuticals, what would be some of the words of encouragement that you would tell this person, this young individual, on what are some of the things they should do and to really explore this industry and its prospects that it holds? So we can start with the first individual on my screen is Dr. Sari. I mean, sorry, Kwadwo-Asare, Mr. Kwadwo-Asare, you just spoke, so you're on my screen. Could we start with you, please?
Well, I think learning lessons from COVID as an industry. I mean, in 2019, some basic essential, even medications were withheld from being imported into the country. And it was going to be a big blow. So I'll tell the individuals that we must try to develop our own so that we'll be able to meet the pharmaceutical needs of our country. And that is an agenda I think the government is putting up, and we encourage them to follow it. So whatever gaps that is the industry, be it regulatory, be it quality assurance, will be filled.
Thank you very much, Mr. Butchery. So the next individual on my screen is Dr. Yao Abdul Jamifi. Doctor.
Well, Joyce, like I've always said, that charity begins at home.
Yes.
No matter how much we have studied from outside, if we don't come home and have an impact on our society, all our education is useless. This committee has given me opportunity working with some people like Professor Ampofo, Kwamina Frimpong, and others have really given me so much confidence that there's so much in us as country, as citizens of Ghana, that if we can only put our minds together, there's so much we can do together. Now, I would tell anyone, for me, anybody asking why pharmacy, even if I have to go back to school today, I will do pharmacy. The reason is that I love it. And when you have a passion for something, it goes all the way. We must know who we are and know what we can do for our people. Those white people, Americans build America, British build British. Ghana and Africa can only do it when we do for ourselves. And we must also understand to work together. No man is an island. We need each one another. And when we put our brains together, so much we cannot do. So that's why I tell anybody that, look, I love Ghana. If you're Ghanaian, if you're my son or my daughter, be proud of your home. You can't be white no matter what you try. But there's so much here that you have an asset to. Take advantage of it and be as high as you want. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And so the next individual that I'd like to give a few words of advice to our youngsters who may be watching would be Mr. Ben Butchery.
Yeah, thank you, Joyce. What I will say is that there is pride in solving societal problems, particularly when it comes to health. So find a molecule. If you are a basic scientist, find a molecule. If you are a chemist, if you are a microbiologist, whatever, find a molecule. And then if you become somebody who can also formulate it, get it into a formulation for possibility of a clinical trial. If you are a medical practitioner or a medical research person, translate it from there into clinical trials and clinical practice. If you are a regulator, make sure that it is properly done and you get it approved. And if you're a business and marketing person, take it out there. And this should be an original Ghanaian product that will pass through all these processes so that at the end of the day, you'll be able to solve our own health problems. And there's pride in doing that. So in that value chain, whatever role you will find yourself to play will be very significant for this country as you move forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed. So I'll give the last word to Professor. I'm sorry, was somebody talking? So I'll give the last word to Professor Ampofo. Prof, what would you say to the young gentleman or lady who's looking at you and saying, Prof, I'm interested in this space. What should I do? Is it good for me to pursue and why? Thank you.
Yes, Joyce, I would encourage them to study pharmacy, but also study a bit of business so that they develop, okay, they have the right, business principles, because we've been talking about, private sector fund mobilization, so that they understand that to succeed as a pharmacist and have their own business and make an impact in society, they have to know about the fundamental business principles. That's something I've learned, as a scientist. The research work has not moved without cash. You have to know where the cash is. You have to know how to find the cash. You have to know how to write the proposal, whether you're writing a scientific proposal or a business plan. So don't just study pharmacy, study some business, and you have to learn how to be able to, really make use of your knowledge as a pharmacist in order to produce a product that will sell and also be sustainable. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. It's been my distinct pleasure to host this session on the Ghana pharmaceutical industry. It's been very educational for me personally, and I know for our listeners. Thanks a lot for the good work you're doing, and God bless.